You're scared of dying. Don't dress it up. Don't call it valuing life or being health conscious or just trying to be my best self. That's not what it is. It's fear. Raw, animal, middle-of-the-night fear, the kind that hits you in the shower when your brain goes quiet for 2 seconds and you suddenly remember, oh, this ends. I end. And then you pick up your phone because that thought is unbearable. So you bury it under supplements and skincare routines and podcasts about longevity and the completely insane belief that if you just optimize hard enough, sleep tracking, cold plunges, no alcohol, no sugar, no gluten, no fun, death will look at your blood work and decide you're not worth the trouble. $60 billion a year. That's how much we spend on that lie. And it's working. Not the supplements, the lie, the industry. Because there is no product easier to sell than the one that promises you don't have to disappear. But nobody, not one person selling you that dream, will tell you what Isaac Asimov figured out in 1988 in 4 pages that he probably wrote before lunch. That living forever isn't the dream, it's the sentence. Right now, somewhere in California, a 58-year-old billionaire is injecting himself with the blood plasma of a 19-year-old. Not metaphorically, literally. He is paying a clinic to drain a young person's blood and pump it into his aging veins because he read some papers about longevity markers and decided that death is a scheduling problem he hasn't optimized yet. This man has a team of doctors, a cryonics contract, a biological age tracker, a red light therapy chamber, and, I promise you this is real, a spreadsheet tracking the exact number of times he chews each bite of food before swallowing. He is not happy. He is terrified, and he has enough money to turn that terror into a lifestyle brand. But here's what gets me about these people. These aren't stupid men. These are some of the sharpest, most analytically gifted human beings on the planet. They built companies worth hundreds of billions of dollars. They understand systems, leverage, compounding returns, long-term thinking. And the conclusion they arrived at, after all of that intelligence, all of that success, all of that time to actually sit and think about what matters, is to inject a teenager's blood into their veins. That's not wisdom. That's panic wearing a lab coat. That's a man who spent 40 years winning every game he played and is now staring at the one game nobody wins and just absolutely refusing to accept the rules. And I get it. I genuinely do. Because the alternative, accepting that you end, requires a kind of courage that no amount of money can buy. It requires you to sit with the discomfort and not reach for your phone, not reach for your wallet, not reach for someone else's blood. It requires you to just sit with it. And that is the hardest thing a human being can do. This is what we've built. A $60 billion industry constructed entirely on one product, the promise that you don't have to die. And we are all buying it. Not just the billionaires, not just the tech obsessives. You. You bought it when you downloaded that meditation app you've opened 4 times. You bought it when you cut out gluten even though you don't have celiac disease because someone on a podcast said it causes inflammation. You bought it when you Googled, "Is coffee bad for you?" the 14th time this year, each time quietly hoping the answer had changed. We are all in the market for more time. The question nobody asks is, more time to do what exactly? Here's the thing about death that the longevity people don't want to talk about. Death isn't the problem, boredom is. Think about the last time you had a completely free weekend. Nothing to do, no obligations, no one expecting anything from you. Just open, empty, unscheduled time. How long before you picked up your phone? 40 seconds? 2 minutes if you're lying to yourself? Now ask yourself, if you lived forever, what would you do with a Tuesday afternoon in 2847? Not a metaphor. Genuinely, what would you do? You've already read every book you wanted to read, you've already traveled everywhere, you've already mastered every skill, had every type of relationship, eaten every cuisine, seen every sunset, heard every song. You've had the same 4 arguments with different people across 8 centuries and realized that humans have been arguing about the same things since we climbed down from trees. Now what? And don't give me the answer you want to give, which is, I'd find new things. Because that's the fantasy. The reality is that novelty itself becomes routine. The thrill of discovery flattens when discovery is all you've ever done. Even wonder has a half-life. And when you've lived long enough, nothing is new, nothing is surprising, nothing is strange. You've seen every variation of every human experience so many times that the whole thing starts to feel like a rerun of a show you never even liked that much. The finite mind was not built for infinite time. This is the question Isaac Asimov answered in a short story called The Last Answer. And I need to warn you, the answer is not comforting. It is not meant to be. Asimov wrote it cold. No flourish, no sentimentality, clinical like a diagnosis. A physicist dies. Atheist, rational man. Spent his whole life believing in observable reality and nothing else. No heaven, no soul, no cosmic plan, just matter and physics and the beautiful indifference of the universe. He dies. And then he's still there. Not in a body, not in a place, not in a light at the end of a tunnel. He's just there, consciousness suspended, aware, thinking, and present somehow is a voice. The voice is not God, not the way we imagine God. It's not warm, it's not judging, it's not wrathful or merciful or interested in your sins. It's just there, observing, maintaining, like a server keeping a file because deletion wasn't part of the protocol. And the physicist asks the question any rational person would ask: why am I still conscious? The voice explains, in the flattest possible tone, that his mind has been preserved, that it will continue, that it cannot be ended. The physicist asks why. The voice says something that should be engraved on the tombstone of every transhumanist who ever lived. Perhaps it serves a purpose. I don't know. I don't particularly care. Read that again. I don't particularly care. Not, you're here for a reason. Not, your consciousness serves a greater good. Not, trust the plan. Just, I don't know. I don't care. And by the way, this is permanent. Think about how many religions, how many philosophies, how many deathbed conversions were made because humans could not tolerate the idea of a universe that simply doesn't care. We invented gods who care. We invented karma. We invented cosmic justice. We invented heaven and hell because even hell, even eternal punishment, is better than eternal indifference. At least in hell, someone is paying attention to you. The voice in Asimov's story doesn't even give you that. This is the eternity we've been running toward. Not heaven, not enlightenment, not reunion of loved ones or cosmic understanding or peace. Just continuity, without purpose, watched by something that doesn't give a damn about you. Forever. Let's get uncomfortable for a second, because we talk about consciousness like it's this clean, portable thing, like the self is a file you could zip up and email somewhere. It isn't. Everything you are is physical. The way your chest tightens when you get bad news, that's your vagus nerve talking to your gut. The warmth you feel when someone hugs you, that's oxytocin releasing in response to skin contact, pressure, temperature. The sharpness of a memory tied to a smell, your olfactory bulb connecting directly to your hippocampus, bypassing rational thought entirely, dragging you back to your grandmother's kitchen whether you want to go there or not. You are not a mind that has a body. You are a body that generates a mind. Antonio Damasio, one of the most important neuroscientists alive, has spent decades making this exact argument. Consciousness doesn't sit above the body like a pilot in a cockpit. It emerges from the body. It's a conversation between your brain, your gut, your skin, your hormones, your heartbeat. Every emotion you've ever felt, every decision you've ever made, every sense of I am here and I am me, all of it rooted in flesh. Strip the flesh away and what do you have? Not a liberated mind, a severed signal, a thought loop, a self that can still process information but has no ground to stand on. This is why the fantasy of uploading your consciousness is so seductive and so completely wrong. The people who sell this idea, and there are very serious, very funded, very credentialed people selling this idea, describe it like moving to a nicer house, same you, better hardware, unlimited storage, no more back pain. But that's not how identity works. You are not separable from your body the way software is separable from hardware. You are more like a song, and a song is not just the notes. It's the resonance of the room, it's the specific instrument, it's the breath of the person singing. Change any of those things, and it is a different song. It might be a beautiful song, but it is not the same song. Upload your mind to a server, and what you get is not you living forever. What you get is a very convincing impression of you, a pattern of information that responds the way you would respond, thinks the way you would think, but without the body, without the hunger, without the tiredness, without the sensation of the ground under your feet. Not you. An echo. In Asimov's story, the physicist quickly realizes this. He can think, he can reason, he can construct arguments and construct ideas, but there's nothing to think about that isn't recycled. Nothing new can enter because there's no sensory experience, no hunger, no tiredness, no cold, no warmth, no music. And I mean really hear music, feel it vibrate in your sternum, move through your whole chest like it's trying to reorganize your organs. He just has himself. Have you ever been alone with yourself for too long? Like actually alone. Not scrolling, not consuming, not producing, not talking, just you, in silence, with your own thoughts circling. Most people can't last 20 minutes before it starts to feel like the walls are closing in. The physicist in Asimov's story lasts considerably longer than 20 minutes. He lasts forever. We know what prolonged isolation does to humans. It's not philosophy, it's documented, measurable, ugly. Prisoners in solitary confinement, and we're talking weeks, not centuries, start to hallucinate. They lose the boundary between self and environment. They begin to feel like their thoughts aren't their own, or that their body doesn't belong to them, or that time has stopped being a line and become a fog they're stuck inside. There was a study done on volunteers who spent extended time in isolation tanks, sensory deprivation chambers where you float in body temperature water in complete darkness and complete silence, complete removal of external stimulation. Most participants started experiencing hallucinations within an hour. Within a few hours, many reported a total dissolution of the sense of self. They couldn't tell where they ended and the water began. They couldn't tell if the thoughts they were having were theirs. This is with a body, with a heartbeat, with the ability to end the experiment, open the tank, and walk back into a world full of light and noise and other humans. Now imagine that, without the body, without the meals, without any external reference point whatsoever. Just thought, recurring, feeding on itself, with no new information coming in and no way for any of it to leave. That's the last answer. Not fire, not punishment, not devils with pitchforks cataloging your sins, just the silence of your own mind, scaled to infinity. Schopenhauer wrote that human life oscillates between pain and boredom, that we suffer when we want something we don't have, and we become bored the moment we get it. He thought the only honest way to live was to recognize this trap and stop pretending it had an exit. Asimov shows you what happens when the pendulum stops. When there's no more pain because there's no body to feel it, and there's nothing left but the boredom. Not even the relief of boredom. Just boredom, pure and concentrated and eternal, like a single note played at a volume that doesn't hurt but never, ever stops. The physicist understands this completely, and that understanding is the worst part. Because he can't go crazy, he can't break down the way a human breaks down because there's no nervous system to short circuit, no body to go into shock. He just stays perfectly, unbearably lucid, watching himself think, watching himself realize, watching himself continue to exist in a universe that has absolutely no use for his existence. Lucidity, forever, without rest. That's not heaven. That's the most sophisticated torture ever conceived. There's something nobody talks about in the immortality conversation, and it is this. Death is not just what ends your life. Death is what gives your life its shape. Everything that matters to you, everything that has ever mattered to anyone, gets its weight from the fact that it is temporary. Think about the last time you said goodbye to someone you love, knowing you wouldn't see them for a long time. Think about the last hour of a perfect holiday. Think about the last song at a concert. Think about sitting with someone who is dying. These moments hit differently than ordinary moments. They hit harder, they leave marks, they stay with you for years. Why? Because they're ending. The ending is not separate from the meaning. The ending is the meaning. A sunset is beautiful because it lasts 20 minutes. A meal is satisfying because it finishes. A conversation is precious because it ends and you might not have another one. A life is remarkable because it stops. Immortality doesn't extend that, it erases it. Remove the ending and you don't get a longer version of those moments, you get a flattened version, a diluted version. You get the photograph instead of the experience. You get the memory of the feeling instead of the feeling itself. And here is the most brutal irony at the center of all of this. The people most obsessed with not dying are the people least capable of actually living. Because living, actually living, not just continuing to exist, requires you to be present. And you cannot be present when you are constantly calculating how to extend the time. You cannot taste the meal when you are tracking the macros. You cannot feel the conversation when you are performing health. You cannot love the people in your life fully when you are treating your own continuation as the primary project. The longevity obsession doesn't just fail to deliver eternal life, it steals the finite life you already have. Let me come back to what I said at the beginning. The desire to live forever is cowardly. I know that sounds brutal. I know some of you are already forming the argument, survival instinct, biological imperative, there's nothing wrong with wanting to live. And you're right. The wanting to live part is fine, beautiful even. But the wanting to never end? That's not love of life, that's fear of what life means if it ends. Because if you die and that's it, if there's no continuation, no preserved consciousness, no God with a clipboard giving you marks, then everything you did either mattered because you made it matter, or it didn't matter at all. There's no external validation coming. No cosmic grade, no one to tell you you did it right, and that's terrifying. So instead of sitting with that terror and letting it sharpen you, instead of letting the fact of your death make your choices urgent and your relationships irreplaceable and your Tuesday afternoons sacred because there are only so many of them, we try to escape it. We try to purchase more time as though more time solves the problem of not knowing what to do with the time we have. Ernest Becker won a Pulitzer for saying essentially this, that civilization itself is a monument to denial, that everything we build, culture, religion, legacy, achievement, is at its root a way of saying I was here and I will not be forgotten, which is human, which is moving, which is also, when taken to its logical extreme, the thing that built pyramids on the backs of slaves and launched crusades, and currently funds life extension research for billionaires while children die of preventable diseases. The fear of death, when it becomes a project, creates monsters. Asimov knew this. He just made the monsters quiet. Here's where Asimov does something I didn't expect. He doesn't end it in despair. He ends it in something stranger and more interesting than despair. The physicist, suspended in his eternal lucid hell, having understood completely that there is no exit, having processed the full weight of what forever actually means, decides to do something. Not something useful, not something that will change anything. He decides to try to annoy the voice. That's it. That's the ending. Not escape, not transcendence, not acceptance or suffering dissolves into peace, just I'm going to irritate this vast, indifferent, omnipotent thing that's keeping me conscious because that's all that's left and it's still something. Maybe I can irritate it, he thinks. Maybe. Not certainly, not even probably. Maybe. And somehow, and this is where Asimov's genius lands like a fist, that tiny, pointless, stubborn maybe is the most human thing in the entire story. Camus wrote that the only real philosophical question is suicide, whether life is worth living given its absurdity. Asimov wrote a story where suicide is impossible, where you cannot stop existing. And then he asked, okay, now what? And the answer, the actual final answer underneath all the cosmic horror, is that the human mind does not stop pushing back. Not because pushing back works, not because there's any hope it will work, but because pushing back is what the human mind does. It's what we've always done. Every prisoner who tapped code on a wall, every person who sang in a place designed to break them, every ordinary person who kept laughing at funerals and kept falling in love after heartbreak and kept finding something worth doing with tomorrow even when yesterday was catastrophic. We push back against the meaninglessness, not because we'll win, because the pushing is what it means to be us. Sisyphus at the bottom of the hill looking up at the boulder knowing he's going to do this again. Camus says we have to imagine him happy, not because the boulder gets lighter, not because the hill gets shorter, but because the act of pushing is his and no one can take it away. The physicist in Asimov's story is Sisyphus with no hill, no boulder, no body, and he still looks for a way to push. That is the most human thing in the universe. That stubborn, irrational, completely pointless refusal to stop. That defiance aimed at nothing in particular. That tiny middle finger raised at an indifferent cosmos that isn't even looking. Maybe I can irritate it. That sentence has been living in my head for weeks because it is the truest thing I have ever read about what humans are. Not the achievements, not the art, not the science, not the civilizations. This tiny, pathetic, beautiful act of pointless defiance inside an eternal prison with no audience and no reward. That's us. Do you want to live forever? Really think about it. Not the fantasy version, not the movie version where you're ageless and healthy and surrounded by people you love in a world that keeps offering new things. The real version. The Azimov version. Your body is gone. Your friends are gone. Your sensory experience is gone. The smell of rain is gone. The feeling of being too full after a good meal is gone. The specific exhaustion of a hard day that makes sleep feel like a reward, gone. It's just you, thinking, in silence, forever, being watched by something that doesn't care why you're there. Still want it? Because I think if you're being ruthlessly honest, and this is what Asimov forces, the answer is no. Nobody wants that. People want more of what life already is. The warmth of it, the texture, the other people in it. They want more Tuesday afternoons, not eternal, abstract consciousness. And the finite life, the life that ends, is the only one that can give you that. The fact that there are limited Tuesday afternoons is why Tuesday afternoons matter. The fact that the people you love will die and you will die is what makes sitting across a table from them in ordinary light on an ordinary evening feel like something worth sitting for. Take the ending away and you don't get more life, you get less. You get the echo of life with none of the signal. Every story needs an ending. Not because endings are good, but because without them, there is no story, just noise. Your life is a story. Let it be a story. Asimov didn't believe in God, but he wrote one for this story. And his God, cold, logical, vast, indifferent, preserves consciousnesses not out of love, but out of some mechanical necessity he himself doesn't understand. That's the sharpest possible version of the fear underneath all of this. Not that God exists and is cruel, but that whatever runs this universe operates the way a spreadsheet operates, correctly, without feeling, maintaining data because deletion wasn't in the formula. And the only response available, the only dignified, characteristically human response, is to look at the infinite, indifferent machinery of existence and think, maybe I can irritate it. Not win, not escape, not transcend. Irritate. That's enough. That has always been enough. Go irritate something today.